haven't got much to speak about, but I've got a bit. So, pardon me. As I said, in terms of the tactical review against Leicester, I've tried to do it a different way, people, in which couple of points before, just so in case you get lost, along my waffle. I do think, the positives you did see. Again, I see a lot of things floating on Twitter around using the game against Manchester City and Bellerin as an example. I think that's harsh. He was always going to be off the ball in that game. But generally, it just seems like everybody else who plays fullback at this club plays better with Pepe in that regard. Cedric and him, they found each other about 31 times. They're playing 1-2s. Sometimes Pepe will make a run for no reason. Cedric will make that overlap, and you saw them play well together. Cedric, like Willian, I think they needed a bit of time to wake up in the game, but it's no coincidences that we had an attacking game and both of them thrived. They did very well. Even Cedric was getting gassed off Pepe chopping up that Thomas guy. You see Cedric bringing out those Cruyff turns. That was a positive for me. I think it took Willian about 20 minutes to wake up, but it was a pleasure to see Willian running at people. Even the build up to the penalty is because he span on his own half, turned and driven. It was nice to see him. I think earlier in the game, he was stuck because of how they were playing on the left-hand side, their right, our left. He was getting sucked into central areas. He started to get more space beyond that. I think we used the wide area as well, especially when we're moving forward. Tierney was good, and as was Cedric and Pepe and the rest of it. I would like to know, can we shoot and create more from open play? Because our third goal came via open play, but it was quite scrappy. And, the build-up that led to our goals, the penalty and obviously the set piece, they were as a result of good open play. But I don't really feel we tested Schmeichel like such. So on another day, can we do a bit better than that? But either way, like I said, to get the penalty and for David Luiz to get that header, well, Lacazette scoring the penalty and David Luiz the header, you had to do that anyways. But can that improve a bit? I did feel we was quite narrow first 10, and I did feel we needed Cedric to overlap a bit more. I did feel in the early stages of the game we had more possession. They had the better chances, people. Pepe had the beating of his fullback each and every time, as I've said, people. So yeah, moving over to the good old tactics board, we shot ourselves in the foot. As you lot know, it looks heroic. We came back from behind and all of these things, which I agree with. But, when you look at Manchester City, Southampton in the cup, Aston Villa, and obviously Leicester, early goals, cheap goals, where all over at all different moments across the game, we've conceded cheap goals, but early goals. Now, not to scale, but I think Xhaka, who turned it around and had a very good game beyond that and was involved in the third goal heavily, amongst others, not to scale, people, he's tried to play Willian. Willian's got 2-man marked. It's actually Telemans who's clapped it. Now, as you've seen, Telemans has bust out. Now, I was quite disappointed at this period from 1, El Nene, and 2, Marie. Like I said, you've got to close this space. I think El Nene could get across. I think Marie, him and David Luiz done a very good job against my man in the middle, Jamie Vardy. But in that incident, fundamentally, it comes from my man losing the ball here. But I think Marie is too occupied trying to find where Jamie Vardy is. And Telemans is just coming forward and forward and forward. And you, again, worst comes to worst, close that space, throw yourself in front of that ball, block it, take it in the face, get a nosebleed. We're too slow. Eventually, how the thing went. He found the back of the net. So that shot us in the foot, people. I did think there was a reaction. I'm trying not to go over the same things, people, that I've covered at length. It was clearly a game of errors. Like, I think for us, I'm happy that we exploited them. We scored 3 goals, but 2 of those goals were unnecessary ones. It's a cheap foul and poor marking for David Luiz's set piece. It's a harsh one for Ndidi, but does he need to have his hands up? And they've been hit on the counter. So Brendan Rodgers has a lot to explain. For us, Xhaka has already held his hands up. He switched off. So it was a bit of a sloppy game. I did think both teams looked a bit tired, whether that's the fixture pile-up, whether that's Europa League, I don't know. But that is what I believe. So it is what it is. We shot ourselves in the foot. We reacted well. And obviously, like I said, as a result of Pepe forever driving down this right-hand side and getting at them, we got a bit of joy. The ball in had to be brilliant, people. Again, not to scale. I'm not going to sit here and I can't really scale it and put the whole players that were here. This is actually David Luiz. He's yellow just so I can make it easier for you lot to see. It's a fantastic ball from Willian into the box, people. But it's fantastic from our two centre halves, and it's a result of the training ground. Like I said, it's fantastic ball from Willian. He's probably floated it here. But I think all of you should go and look back at the game, people. It's a good run from David Luiz. Cassans, I can't say his name, but they're right back, people. He's in possession. I mean, he's marking David Luiz. Sorry, he's switched off. If you look, remember, David Luiz has made a run from out to in. He's actually come back here. Why Marie's of relevance? Because it's a bit of dark arts from Marie, because he's actually blocked Telemans off from even trying to react and put David Luiz off. Long story short, the ball's come in. Eventually, we've scored from a set piece. So on top of our good mentality and good reaction, I think we did well in that regards to bounce back and get ourselves back in the game. Shout out to everybody involved in that regards, people. Obviously, the next goal as well. Wait, is that the next goal? Yeah, this is the penalty incident. Again, not to scale, people, not to scale. But like I said, we're playing well, and there's probably a man around Willian. But like I said, Willian, early on, Willian, if I make this, that's their right back. And who was actually their right back? I can't remember who played right back for them, but they had Pereira as well. So they were going with quite a narrow one. So it makes sense as to why early on, like I said, the first 20 minutes, Willian had to come inside. Naturally, you're not going to beat both of them. Pereira's quick. My man who's behind him, Kassan, is also good. So he was quite having to come inside a lot. So yeah, these lot are not relevant anymore. Like I said, with Willian made that goal happen in the same way we've earned a foul that's led to, Thomas has fouled Pepe and led to the corner, the cross coming in and David Luiz headering it home. And while I want to see more things from open play, the goals have come as a result of good build-up play. We're cutting them open, Leicester, how I thought Leicester would play, we're playing against them. Willian's turned, people. He's turned and driven, This is what you want to see from Willian, being Brazilian and all of those sort of things. I think it's ended up with Odegaard. He's played it into Pepe. And obviously at this moment, everyone will be backing up and backing up. Long story short, Pepe's obviously smacked it into the hand of Ndidi. His hands are in an unnatural position. Lacazette's obviously stepped up from the spot. Let's get everybody behind the ball here. Just if you want to see this, I can't even remember what way he went. But Lacazette obviously pull it in from the spot, people. Not that I have to show you a penalty. So that's 2-1. It was nice that, I think, excluding the mistake, we actually played all right. Again, we can't do this thing as Arsenal fans where we say exclude the mistake and all of these sort of things, people. But it is what it is. Like I said, we made a cheap mistake and we have to go on with it. The thing is, with those mistakes, people will harp on about it being Xhaka's mistake in the same way they might harp on David Luiz. These cheap goals we're conceding, it's normally one person's mistake and then it becomes a bad sequence. Like Xhaka switching off and losing the ball. Our team are pressing at that time and going forward, people. So, Xhaka's lost that ball when Tini's in no man's land because he's tried to go forward. El Nene's very slow to press that ball, as I stated in the goal. Marie doesn't close that space either. And, it's a sequence of goals. So fundamentally, I don't know what we need to do. But psychologically, the main thing I would say, can we stop conceding these early goals and these cheap goals? Because throughout the whole season, we've conceded cheap goals. We conceded the cheap one against Leicester in the reverse leg. For me, I'd say 2 cheap goals that might be forgotten about because we were quality against the opposition really is Leeds. Those 2 goals didn't need to happen. Really. So it's not going to change overnight, but it was a good reaction to get to actually, because there's been times we've conceded, we're behind, we're doing necessarily a lot of the things we did, but we're going into half-time still losing. So it was nice to get the goals. Whatever way you do it, you got the goals. I will say there were 6 changes and evidently I didn't see it. I didn't, obviously when it wasn't going our way, you're screaming, Saka, where are all of these guys? But I think I have to give them praise in that regards, people. Obviously, the third goal, apologies, not to scale again, but just to focus on the main sequences and not the intricate parts of it. The main part in the build up to the third goal for me was Lacazette. There's so much man around Lacazette. He's done so well to hold up that ball. Eventually, again, not to talk about all the sequences, Xhaka's got it back. Somehow it's ended up with Pepe. Pepe's giving it to Odegaard. Long story short, it got a bit scrappy. Again, I'm not going to scale it. You know what happened, or if you didn't watch Sky Sports. Eventually, Pepe, Williams pull it back across and Pepe's actually scored. And Pepe should have had a goal in the first half when he made an excellent run. I think Tierney pulled it across in the first half, people. Tierney put an excellent low-driven cross and Pepe made a lovely run and he missed the ball completely. So on another day, that might be something people focus on. But going back to this half, it was nice. And that was the goal from general play I wanted. It was a bit scrappy, but we took advantage of Leicester and I was really happy in that regard. 3 goals. We conceded a cheap goal, but Leicester conceded 3 very cheap goals. And I'm sure Brendan Rodgers won't be happy, people. just bringing this to you people as well. If we look at the lineup, they went with a 4-4-2. I do think Leicester were quite negative in that regards, way more negative than I thought. You know, obviously they've had injuries, they played in Europe and things. Cassandre and Pereira, I thought they were going to be quite high. Like, well, you can't be off the pitch, but as high as I can make it, you know, really adding width. I thought they were going to do that and exploit the fact we can't defend. Instead, they looked a bit narrow, in my opinion. You know, but you got to see what looked like two fullbacks, one playing there. I think Pereira not that he didn't grasp the wing back the wide role, but it seemed like he was just playing as another fullback. It's like they were trying to see out a game. And at first it worked because Willian, who was on the left, had to come inside, but they were just at 6s and 7s in the second half, people. I think their centre halves weren't quite as good on the ball. I think we kept one thing I liked about Arsenal is we kept them in their own half quite a lot in that first half, especially. Second half, there was more of a fight back. They had more on the ball, as you can imagine. You know, it'd be told to them. But I think we really limited the space. You know, in reality, you know, you had the two strikers in Kelechi and Vardy. You know, they're missing James Maddison. Kelechi was the one dropping deep. He was quite isolated, and he could have had a couple of goals in the second half if his decision making was better. You know. Jamie Vardy was isolated. We was there and equal to it. And whenever all they really were trying to do is just ping balls into Jamie Vardy, and we had numbers back, obviously getting tighter to him. You know, Jamie Vardy was really, really frustrated in that regards, people. You know, David Luiz and Marie did a number on him in that regards, people. I think their midfield they just weren't at it. Their fullbacks were at 6s and 7s. You know, one midfielder was there, one was slightly forward. You know, Pereira was unsure. Barnes didn't really look fit. Their shape was poor, and they were just gifting possession back to us. Like numerous times, how many times you see Kasper Schmeichel kick it, and it's back to us as we started to press them. I think we pressed very good, in my opinion, you know, especially early on. Like, it's a shame with Smith Rowe. I think Smith Rowe, watching the game again, I think Smith Rowe did very good in that regards, especially. So, yeah, I think we pressed them very well. You know, our fullbacks, you know, Tierney needs no introduction. Once again, he needs no introduction to go forward. You know, Pepe was doing his thing from out to in. Pepe and Cedric, you know, 1 minute, one person's. What I liked about them, sometimes Pepe would go in if he sees Cedric going out, and Cedric would play it to him. And then you'd have a runner, or you'd have decisions for Pepe to make. Or sometimes, you know, Pepe would just hold up the ball, you know, beyond just tearing Thomas a new one, innit? He terrorized that young left back. Let's be real. But sometimes he'd hold the ball up and just wait, you know, wait for that overlap and then just play it in. Like, obviously, you want to see a bit more, but it's refreshing to see a partnership. I can't lie. In the first half, I was thinking that Willian and Pepe should have switched purely because, like I said earlier, if I remove everybody quickly, I think Tierney had the key freedom of the city here. And I think Pepe out there could have done a thing. Because, like I said, Willian was going inside. But we did all we needed to do, people. In short, have I got any ending comments, people? Like I said, all they were trying was long balls to Jamie Vardy. I don't think they was as aggressive enough in their press. Did think they were too defensive and in their own half. I don't think they had any real quality in possession. That being said, I think they had the better of the chances in the first half. Ending thoughts in that game, I think, considering we made 6 changes, it didn't look like it. We have to stop conceding early goals. I already said Leicester weren't as aggressive. They tried to lock down the right-hand side with the fullbacks, like I said. You know, important statistic here, people. Arsenal have conceded inside 6 minutes in 3 of their last 4 Premier League games. So we need to nip that one there in the bud. Need to arrest that, people. I know this was in the FA Cup, but, you know, 4 games of recent memory that's happened. If we quickly look at some stats, Lacazette has converted all 5 of his penalties for Arsenal in all comps. Lacazette now has scored the same amount of Premier League goals as Raheem Sterling this season. Arsenal and Leicester have conceded the joint fewest penalties in the Premier League. Willian with the best passing accuracy of any player on the pitch with 94. Hopefully that's a turning point. Shout out to Opta and Obino, the Twitter accounts for where I copied and pasted all this information from. Only Bukayo Saka and Smith Rowe, people, have more assists this season for Arsenal than Willian now. Bit of Willian agenda and propaganda. David Luiz and Willian are just the second Arsenal duo to combine for a Premier League goal for the Gunners and another Premier League club, Chelsea. You know, John Hartson and Ian Wright did it at West Ham. Pepe has scored 4 goals in his last 7 Premier League starts. No team has dropped fewer points from winning positions than Leicester so far this season. So, you know, we played a team that could have went second, the team that, you know, are competing for the league and are competing for Europe and did what we needed to do. And I'm sure Robbie would like this. Big up Robbie, you know. Robbie got a lot of heat for this. I'm sure Robbie would like this. I'm not saying I co-sign it, but, you know, I'm just saying Willian with 5 now has more assists this season than Hakim Ziyech in all comps. And Ziyech looked a bit rubby in the Chelsea game, but a few of their players didn't. You know, I think Mount looked good, but keeping on task with Arsenal, that's all I have to say in relation to Arsenal versus Leicester, people. So let me actually go back and try and find where my timestamp is.